Island Paradise goes in. A little bit of movement from Mall. And they're off. Smooth start. Shapoval is out on top, but here comes Going Nowhere now, sprinting up to take over. Mall moves into second, and 19th hole is faster than both, and so the favorite, who was pounded late, goes to the front. And Island Paradise is now in second. They're followed by Going Nowhere, who broke on top and is now settled nicely at the rail in third, 2.5 lengths or so off the leader. Shapoval is next, followed by Mall, 2 lengths clear of Star of Delhi. Beeble Brox is second to last, leaving Wasting Aces at the back of the field. Down the back stretch, and it's 19th hole, showing the way. Has it 3/4 of a length to Island Paradise in second. Then comes Going Nowhere and Kazushi Kimura down at the rail in third. Shapoval is in fourth, followed by Mall fifth, Star of Delhi outside of them, just 5 lengths off the lead. Another 2 to Wasting Aces and Beeble Brox. 19th hole into the far turn, continues to show the way. Shake it up now to kick on, and does so, leading by a length. Island Paradise in second. Shapoval inching closer now. There goes Shapoval with a nice move to take second. Coming after the front running 19th hole and by at the top of the stretch. Shapoval and Tyler Bays, the new leaders at the top of the stretch. There's room at the rail for Going Nowhere, who has sat a nice trip. From the back, Wasting Aces is rallying strongly, needs to find a seam in between horses and is trying to do just that late. Can Wasting Aces get through there? And in the meantime, Beeble Brox with all the momentum from way out of it. It's Beeble Brox and Welfin Orantes to win it. Wasting Aces weave through traffic for second in front of Shapoval. 19th hole was in the battle for fourth. Outrageous will complete the line as the odds-on favorite. They're off. Outrageous, Unbridled Scholar in between. At the rail, here's Legal Fiction moving through, and Sees the Image is at the back, but only a length and a half or so off the leader, Legal Fiction. Legal Fiction is just in front, heading to the half-mile pole. Outrageous is keeping pace, and Unbridled Scholar in between those two. Another 3 back to Seize the Image. They're heading toward the 3/8 pole, and it's Legal Fiction narrowly in front, Outrageous on the outside, and Unbridled Scholar. These 3 have been going at it since the gate opened. 5 lengths back to Seize the Image in fourth. Outrageous takes the lead now, and it's Outrageous trying to put some separation on the other 2. Has it a half a length now to Unbridled Scholar. Legal Fiction under heavy pressure at the rail. 5 back to Seize the Image. They're in the final furlong, and it's Outrageous with a 2-length lead. Good battle between Legal Fiction and on the outside, Unbridled Scholar. 3 lengths back, Seize the Image, 16th pole, and Outrageous is far too good. Outrageous. And Cristobal Herrera convincingly. Legal Fiction second, Unbridled Scholar third, then Seize the Image. Will be the last one to load. And they're off. Chapter 1 and Diaghilev, the first 2 out of the gate. Then comes Tap the Gin just behind them in third. It's another 2 lengths back. Bright Eye Bungle in the lime colors fourth. They're in single file down the back stretch, and it's a gap of 5 to Melismatic. Heading to the half-mile pole. Diaghilev in charge. Has the lead and is now about 2.5 to the good of Chapter 1 in second. Then Tap the Gin, Bright Eye Bungle getting into the race, and another 3. Melismatic is now in contact with them, 5 lengths off front running Diaghilev. Diaghilev 3/4 of a length to Chapter 1. Then Bright Eye Bungle on the inside, saving every inch of ground third. Tap the Gin is fourth, And 2 more to Melismatic there at the top of the stretch. And it's Diaghilev, short lead. Chapter 1 in second. Now here's Tap the Gin closing stoutly on the outside. Just behind them, Bright Eye Bungle in fourth. Tap the Gin is stretching those legs out. And Tap the Gin and Abel Lescano blow by them all. The longest shot on the board. Diaghilev second. Melismatic picked it up in the late stages for third. Contrary Chieftain and they're off. Mischief's Causeway, Contrary Chieftain on the outside, and Mother's Prayer is a close-up third as they move into the first turn. The pace is moderate. Contrary Chieftain and Mischief's Causeway. Mischief's Causeway is just in front now to Contrary Chieftain, the heavy favorite. They have 6.5 furlongs to go. A length and a half back to Mother's Prayer in third. So they move on to the backstretch with Welfin Orantes and Mischief's Causeway, trying to go as slow as possible. But now Kyle Frey and Contrary Chieftain will have none of that. And Contrary Chieftain head and head with Mischief's Causeway. 2 back to Tyler Bays and Mother's Prayer. They're coming to the half-mile pole, and it's Contrary Chieftain just in front of Mischief's Causeway, a length and a half. Mother's Prayer is now 2 behind the front-running Contrary Chieftain, who appears to have gotten the best of Mischief's Causeway. And so Contrary Chieftain opens up 3 lengths. Mother's Prayer moves into second. Contrary Chieftain has a comfortable lead. Mother's Prayer set down now, trying to make a race of it, and is doing that. A length and a half margin between the top 2 as the field turns for home. Contrary Chieftain and Mother's Prayer. Contrary Chieftain digging in, has plenty left. Widens to 3. Mother's Prayer tried hard, but just simply no match. Contrary Chieftain ambles home to win by 4 lengths. Mother's Prayer was second. Mischief's Causeway finished third. We're in the gate. And they're off. Hot Rocket just stood still as the gate opened. Baldoro had a very nice start, as did Coco-san. And now here's Cali Cat. And Cali Cat wants to lead and will get it by the stands the first time. Beef Winslow is 3 wide in fourth. None Above the Law, the gray veteran in mid-pack, joined and passed at the rail by Moonlit Sonata. It's a gap of 5 back to Crazy Cavalier. And Hot Rocket is at the back around the first turn, and Cali Cat gets over to the rail and is immediately attacked as Coco-san moves up to take the lead. So it's Coco-san in front. Baldoro is racing in second. Then it's Beef Winslow, joint third outside Cali Cat. None Above the Law, 4 off the pace in fifth. Moonlit Sonata is down at the rail, 6 clear of Crazy Cavalier. And Hot Rocket past the half-mile pole. And it's Coco-san, 3/4 of a length. Baldoro is in second. Beef Winslow on the outside throughout third, trying to make his move now. In the meantime, Cali Cat is shuffled back to fourth. None Above the Law, Moonlit Sonata hard-ridden as they reach the midpoint on the far turn. Crazy Cavalier trying to launch a wide bid. Several chances as they pass the quarter pole and turn for home. Baldoro between. Beef Winslow on the outside, and Coco-san fights on down on the inside as Crazy Cavalier is charging down the center of the course. None Above the Law in between. Crazy Cavalier flying after Beef Winslow, and it's Crazy Cavalier blowing by them all to win it at 10-1 for the contest players. None Above the Law was second. Baldoro was third. In the gate. And they're off. Thermal began very nicely. Cash Call. Magnificat is down on the inside, a close-up third, and Violetta M is the long shot trailer. Down the back stretch, and Thermal crosses over to lead it by 2. Over the heavy favorite, Cash Call second. Then Magnificat, 3 off the pace in third, and 3 clear of Violetta M. They passed the half-mile pole chasing Thermal, who has a very comfortable 2-length start on Cash Call second. Magnificat is down on the inside, racing in third, and 2 more to Violetta M. 3 furlongs out, Freysu and Thermal loose. Now Cash Call asked to get after her in second. At the rail, Magnificat all in third, and Violetta M a quarter of a mile to go, and Thermal's just doing it very nicely on the front end. Thermal has extended to be in front by 3.5. Cash Call, Magnificat, they're coming to the 8th pole, and it's Thermal by 4 lengths. Cash Call battling for second with Magnificat. This was a tour de force. Thermal absolutely clobbers them and extends with every stride. Thermal wins by 6 lengths. Magnificat second, Cash Call third, and then Violetta M. In the gate. And they're off in the Santa Ana. And Public Assembly broke out very alertly. 1,000 miles moves through on the inside now, and 1,000 miles takes the lead. Take a breath. The red colors is racing in third as they come into the stretch for the first time. And so it will be 1,000 miles, leading the way by half a length. Public Assembly is in second. Queen Sienna has moved up in the center of the course third, and Paradise Lake and Juan Hernandez down on the inside fourth. That group followed by Resolve. Take a breath, settles 6 lengths off the lead. Mrs. Astor by herself, 2 in front of Hey Jesse. Then Starry Night and I'm a Joker is about 15 off the pace, being set by 1,000 miles, who goes into the clubhouse turn, leading it by 1.5 lengths. Public Assembly is comfortable in second. Then comes Paradise Lake in third, and Queen Sienna 4 off the pace in fourth. Resolve and Take a Breath are steering next to one another. Mrs. Astor follows them with Hey Jesse. Down on the inside comes Starry Night and I'm a Joker. Down the backstretch in the Santa Ana Stakes, and it is 1,000 miles, continuing to dictate terms, with Public Assembly 1.5 lengths behind in second. That pair followed by Queen Sienna and Paradise Lake. Early move coming from I'm a Joker, the first one to make a bid. She's racing 4 wide as Take a Breath makes a move as well in the red colors, just 3 lengths off the lead. Mrs. Astor is between rivals, right behind Resolve at this stage. I'm a Joker's bid has stalled. In behind her, Hey Jesse the Gray starting to pick it up, and Starry Night is at the back. Public Assembly has the lead at the top of the stretch, turns for home in front by 2. Paradise Lake comes out of the pack. Take a Breath is next. Then Resolve and Mrs. Astor, both of whom are finishing very well. Public Assembly's just in front. Take a Breath right up alongside. And Resolve, Take a Breath, or Resolve, Take a Breath, Resolve. Photo finish. That's very tight. Between Take a Breath and Resolve, it was a nose bob. Mrs. Astor was just behind them, and several trying to get fourth, including Hey Jesse, Queen Sienna, and Paradise Lake. An exciting conclusion to the Santa Ana. "21 minutes to post for the start of the late double. Scratch number 2, cash in tonight. Note the number 5, Can You Dream? The jockey Vincente Del Cid. Southern Riff. They're in the gate. And they're off. Can You Dream broke quickly. Here's Lovelock, though, coming through, and Lovelock will set the pace. The heavy favorite, Twisted Humor, is up and on them, too. And then it's Big Coin coming through on the rail. 2 more to Big Miss, and another 2 back to Southern Riff. Down the backstretch, Love Lock shows the way to the half-mile pole, a length and a half in front. Twisted Humor is in second. Big Coin on the rail still third. Can You Dream? 3 off them in fourth. Then it's Big Miss, and Southern Riff is at the back. Love Lock midway on the far turn leads the way. Cristobal Herrera getting busy on Twisted Humor, trying to close that gap. Another 2 lengths. Can You Dream is coming back right into the thick of it as well. And then it's Big Coin in fourth there at the top of the stretch. Love Lock, Twisted Humor a length back second. 2 more to Can You Dream in third. They're in mid-stretch, and Love Lock is game on the front end, trying to finish the job. Twisted Humor drifting about, and on the outside, Can You Dream? It's Love Lock and Armando Ayuso strong all the way, and Love Lock wins it a length and a half. Twisted Humor was second. Can You Dream third. Tequila and Therapy. Great combination. The last one to load. And they're off. Fast start for Shared Future. Tequila and Therapy now sprints up, as does Miyako along the inside. And Miyako is now vying for the lead. Miss Kitty Boom took a couple of strides to get going, but is now flashing that good zip. And Tequila and Therapy will now track from third. They are followed by Madonna of Laredo on the inside, fourth. Followed then by Rosa Parks, who's fifth and 3.5 off the pace. 2 clear of Helga Brandt. Eiffel is next, a gap of 4. Back to Marion Cross, Shared Future, who was just passed by Yoga Master. They have a quarter of a mile to go. And it is Miss Kitty Boom, Miyako, Tequila and Therapy. Madonna of Laredo is just behind them. Eiffel trying to launch a bit on the outside. They're in the final furlong, and it's Miss Kitty Boom who now opens up. Miss Kitty Boom has a 3-length lead suddenly, chased by Rosa Parks in second, and Eiffel keeps coming on the outside. Here's Rosa Parks surging at Miss Kitty Boom. Rosa Parks, Miss Kitty Boom, photo finish. That is so close between Rosa Parks and Miss Kitty Boom. Eiffel was in behind them. And then Yoga Master and Marion Cross trying to sort out the back end of the super high 5.
Coming on a bit is Forgo, our native on the outside. Now and then the stretch. It's Secretariat. Secretariat on the outside to take the lead. Sham holding in second. It's Secretariat moving away. He has it by 2.5. Sham then on the outside, our native. At the wire.
Well, hello and welcome to Tom Quigley's Corner, or the Handicapping Seminar. I'm Millie Ball, standing in for Tom Quigley with a very special guest in Aggie Ordonez. And you might be wondering why we just showed you back the 73 Kentucky Derby, but you can tell us why, Aggie.
I'm probably the only person that watches that race and then watches Secretary go by and is still staring so hard at the screen, because that's my dad, that's my pops on Forgo, who ran fourth that day, and it was a part of one of the most iconic races in the history of the game.
I mean, you must have been literally a little girl. How much do you remember, if anything, of that live?
No, I don't. I can't say that it, to me, at that point in my time, I probably was 6, that it meant anything. I was just happy to be with my dad and happy to hear about him riding horses and spending time with him. So I hadn't, realized the true nature of even Secretariat. I was more interested in just hanging out with my dad around horses.
Well, Aggie Ordonez, if you're not familiar with her, moved from Northern California and has been down here in Southern California, and we're very, very happy to have her down here. Aggie is stabled here at Santa Anita. Talking about your dad and really, I mean, a pretty iconic jockey. How did you get involved in horse racing? Were you just sort of born into it, and so that was the path you took? Or was it something you actually chose, you developed a liking for?
Definitely a choice. I mean, you have to remember, my dad, born in 1931, when he came up on the racetrack, women were not even welcome on the backstretch, or were not a part of the game, and not even permitted to own horses until late, some years late. So, my dad's thoughts were that this was kind of a man's sport, and I had to work hard little by little to inch my way into the game and get his approval to be a part of the barn and the races, and eventually won him over, and he was my biggest supporter of all time.
Did you spend a lot of time on the backside growing up?
I did. Very heavily supervised at first, but I'd say by the time I was 10, I was in. I was doing things. He was trying to get my brother to go to the racetrack in the morning. My brother didn't want to get out of bed. I'd be hiding in the back seat. Like I was at the barn. Yeah.
And your father went from being a jockey to actually a pretty established horse trainer.
Yeah, he has done it all: bred, owned, trained. And of course, I think probably most famous as a jockey. He rode some of the best horses of our time, and won the Belmont in 1958, and he was from New York, so that was just iconic for him. And his whole life was built around horses, and everything I have has been built around horses as well.
Was it just you that moved to California then, or did your family move to California?
No, I kind of hit the road and just was exploring, kind of a free spirit, and went and worked at Arlington for a while, and then wound up training at a little place in Kansas City for I thought would be a summer stint, but I never wanted to look back. I just slowly worked my way around the country and landed in San Francisco, and was there for 20 years training.
Now, you mentioned that, your father was sort of not expecting, women at that point to go into training. You went into publicity, if I'm right. How did you make that transition then from working in publicity, and why did you make that transition?
I tried to play it straight for a while by working in the front side and with publicity. And I was working at Arlington, and we had a weekly magazine show, and they would send me out to get B-roll and to get some quotes from different horsemen. And I would just listen to the horsemen talk about their good horses. And I thought, I'm on the wrong side of the mic, man. I want to be the one talking about my baby, about my horse. And really just missed the smells and the feels of being hands-on horses.
Yeah. And you described yourself, I know, when we were working together at the Women's Summit, and you described yourself not as a trainer, but a caretaker. And I thought that was really key for your barn and the way that you work with horses. Could you just talk a little bit about that?
I think I have learned so much more from horses than I've actually trained into a horse. I mean, I see them as the most majestic, most wonderful animals that God created. And so it's an honor to be in touch with them every day and to try and bring out their best. And I think the way to do that is to keep them happy and healthy and sound. And I have to advocate for their best interests all the time. And I feel like they're protectors. And so every time I send them out there to do exactly what they were bred to do, trained to do, they've been fed the best, they've been taken care of and prepared to do this running. But their safety and their well-being is always at the forefront for me.
There's no better example than the two big horses you have in your barn right now, Almond Joy and Vodka Vodka. Let's just go back and talk about Almond Joy providing you with your very first stakes win, and it was here at Santa Anita. We're going to watch it.
Oh my goodness.
I just want you to reflect on this. And, you know, what were you thinking at the time? How did this make you feel moving forward?
Oh my gosh. You know, Almond Joy, we loved her from the start. We thought she was all racehorse from the start, but it just took her a minute to get the hang of things. She finally broke her maiden, and then we stepped her right up into this stake here. And I remember watching Kent move her up the backside, and she just looked so comfortable and fluid, and she was really doing her thing. And I always have the best, utmost confidence that Kent's making the right moves out there, and he had her once again in the perfect position here. But holding my breath and watching her in that stalking position, and I'm just waiting to watch Kent move. And when Kent moves, then I know she's going to respond. And you can see him just start to ask her right here. And I think there was a lot of noise at the grandstand about here. A little bit of a touch on her mouth right there made us nervous. And of course now we're thinking, oh, get out of there. And he's thinking the same thing. And she does as told. And here she comes, that head lowers and she reaches with that stride, and she's all heart. She knows what she's supposed to do, and she just does her job like a good girl.
Is it fair to say that their connection that they have is a big part of the success?
Absolutely. Kent is in touch with her, and you know, he's older and experienced and such a veteran, and she's young and kind of a ditz. So, you know, she needs guidance, and he gives her that. So she, you know, he's the brains and she's the brawn, and, you know, he's got the wisdom and she's got the youth. And so you put that together and they're hard to beat.
Well, it's been just an absolute pleasure watching her campaign unfold with Aggie at the helm, obviously going on to win a bunch of stakes races, and then most recently finishing third in the Grade 1 Beholder Mile. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but first let's go to Frank Miramati, who has the scratches and changes for today's card at Santa Anita.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, the great race place. The track is fast, the turf is firm, with the rail on the turf out 30 feet. Here are the early changes on today's program. No changes in the first. The all-turf pick 3 starts here, races 1, 3, 6, and the early pick 5. In the second, first leg of the early pick 4, there are no changes. The third starts the pick 6 today on races 3 through 8. Just some blinker notes listed in your program. Race 4, first leg of the late pick 5. Scratch 1, Gentleman Rancher. Scratch 7, Smoothin' Saturday. 1 and 7 are out. In the fifth, the late pick 4 starts. Scratch 4, Poor Val. Scratch 7, Sounds Lucky. Turning to race 6. The late pick 3 begins here. Number 5, Galanda Besos, 2 pounds over. 7, Hacking It Up, the jockey Antonio Fresu. Antonio Fresu rides 7, Hacking It Up. Scratch 8, Central Dispatch. Number 9, Tiger Han will run. Scratch 10, So I'm Told. 11, Player B. And 12, Chasing Money. Out of the 6th, scratch 8, 10, 11, and 12. Late double begins with race 7, scratch number 4, Minister Shane. And in the 8th, scratch number 4, By the Moonlight. Super high 5 wagering is offered on the 8th. Enjoy your day at Santa Anita Park. It's a free Friday. Post time for the opener is in 59 minutes at 1 p.m. Let's go back to Quigley's Corner. Millie Ball is hosting today, and her special guest is trainer Aggie Ordonez.
Well, thank you very much, Frank Miramati, for passing along those scratches and changes for today's card. As I continue my conversation with Aggie Ordonez here, going back to Almond Joy. And you and I were just talking off camera about the size of Almond Joy, because she really is a very impressive looking mare when she comes cantering down the racetrack. And you were talking about how you had monitored her weight and decided there was a certain time where, okay, enough's enough. She needed a little break.
Yeah, Millie, when she ran as a 3-year-old through that tough campaign, she didn't miss a beat, and she was steady all year long, and she was gaining weight. She was gaining weight with every race, which is hard to do in the summer, Del Mar, tough races, but she was growing that fast and just building her body up. So we went to Keeneland, and she ran a respectable race in the Ravens Run towards the end of her 3-year-old year. We came back, and I put her on the scale, and she was 100 pounds lighter and than her high weight as a 3-year-old. And I said, that's not going the right direction. We need to take on some tough fillies against olders as a 4-year-old. So we kicked her out for 6 weeks, just turned her out in a small paddock, let her be a horse and go out and graze. And I told the farm manager, Katie at Kingfisher, I said, I need 100 pounds, please. And she sent her back, and she said, I got you 80. She gave me 80. I'll take it. She was 80 pounds heavier, but she's kept it. She's kept that 80 pounds. And so she is now turned that into muscle. And I feel like we're headed in the right direction.
Well, on the day of the Beholder Mile, she weighed in at 1,186 pounds, which is very impressive for a mare. Let's go back and watch this race, Aggie, because she's now grade 1 placed and worth a lot more.
Love it, love it. Love the grade 1. In the Beholder, I was worried at the top of the lane. I was worried Kent tipped her out, and my heart jumped. I thought maybe that she was done, she was tired, but he said later that she just needed to catch her breath and regroup, and then he really just rained down on her, and she finished the way with the way she does when he asks her to and tells her what to do, and she finished with such a flurry and picks up third money, which meant everything for a mare, and we're thrilled.
Well, congratulations on that. And it's as if it's not enough, to have one now graded stakes placed horse out of that mare, that same mare. You have another in Vodka, who we've been tracking, who ran on the same day in the Santa Anita Handicap. Talk us through this.
Vodka is very close to my heart. I love this horse. I have from the second I saw him, and he had to fight it out to get a piece of this race. We couldn't catch the winner, but he was, I feel, running faster than any of them at the end, and going 1.25 miles for the first time against grade 1 horses. It brought me to tears. I watched this, and it was not only respectable. I admit it. I cried. I went out there. I gave him a big hug and a big slap, and I had tears in my eyes. I was just proud of him for his effort.
Well, you may not know about Aggie, and I don't know if there's another trainer on the backside that does this, but she does yoga with the horses in the morning. And look at the results she's getting. You go in and you do some stretching.
I do. I've never felt better in my life than when I did yoga. I need to get back into it, but it relates to horses as well. And I entice them with a carrot and have them do some light bending to the left, to the right, and then their nose between their knees. And and they love it. A lot of times they'll continue on. They'll get down into a downward dog, and they'll arch their back,
Otherwise
and they
I wouldn't
continue.
believe it.
Well, I'm not enticing. They just carry on the stretch. It feels good.
It's incredible. Well, we look forward to seeing both Vodka Vodka and Almond Joy back on the work tab whenever it may be, Aggie. Let's get to some handicapping now. Race number 1 on the turf course, 6 furlongs, maiden special weights. And we'll go through the entire card. Aggie is giving her selections here. And again, I'm standing in for Tom Quigley, who will be away for a couple more Fridays. So I'm very glad and honored to be sitting in for him. Race number 1 on the turf, maiden special weights, 6 furlongs. Where are you landing in this race?
Millie, I love to try and beat a favorite, but not here. I think this is just an outstanding one in Fancy Lady. Watched the replay of her last race, and it was visually so impressive. She was bumped at the start. She did a jump over the crossover, and he was loaded turning for home, and almost ran by Surfing USA, who comes back to win by 5 in an open allowance race. Very impressed with Fancy Lady in here. I think she's the horse to put on top.
I think Fancy Lady's going to be very tough in here, but like you, I try to beat the favorite, and I'm going to try and beat the favorite with Rethink. And it was basically what touted me at the end was this workout from Rethink. So we're taking a look at this on First TV. Gold Phoenix, who you know, Renegade. Gold Phoenix is with the striped cap in front right now. And Antonio Fresu is on Rethink in the maroon cap. And they're working on the training track here. And what I just liked that the way this horse was so beautifully relaxed, sitting behind company, just waiting for Antonio Fresu's cue. And once he does ask for that cue, I thought when you're working with a quality horse like Gold Phoenix, that it was quite remarkable the way he finishes. Look, he's going to come up the rail, which we see Phil D'Amato doing this quite a lot with his horses. And it just seems like this horse is in a beautiful rhythm and just continues to look strong all the way through to the wire. So the negative, I guess, and you can probably attest to this, Aggie, is when you go from post 9 of 9 now to an inside post position, whether you think that that's an advantage or a disadvantage going 6 on the turf course.
Post position does make a difference, and the experience is light on a lot of these runners, but Rethink has enough here that I think that she's a formidable foe. I love it that Phil does that in the morning, and that's what we do, try and throw everything we can at them that they might experience in the race.
Very, very good point. So that's the first race. As we move on to race number 2, and in here we have 5.5 furlong distance, maiden claiming state bred. So these are Calbreds in here. And I thought on the main track here, the couple of horses that were quite interesting. Did you narrow it down to one in here? Did you feel pretty good about one horse?
I love an exacta bet in here. I have two that I like in particular. I ran against the outside gelding Hungover last time out with Milbo Baggins, and not to take anything away from Milbo Baggins, but just there was a 5-horse race, and DeSormo pretty much rode 4 of them. I mean, Milbo was in front, and Hungover, as a first-time starter, was making an excellent run up the rail, and you could see not anything illegal, but just this slight drift down to the inside, a little intimidation. There was a horse closing on the outside, and he drifted a little to the outside, a little intimidation, and then the horse behind him sitting there saying, "Which way you going?" And he take your guess, you know. And I don't think anyone was able to just lay down and run their race except for my horse. So Hungover was well meant on that day, and all the respect to him. He now draws the outside post, and I think he's sharp in here. But on another point, the horse that Otis Betts, number 4, I would rounds out my exacta. Marcia Stortz does a great job, and the horse runs 2 solid races and is having to ship over from Los Alamitos, and a horse that you would feel very happy and promising. And then you look up and you get claimed by Ron Ellis. It's like a trainer's nightmare. Like, you're trying to do the best for you. You've done all the hard work. He's running great for you.
And now you're like, here,
have my wonderful, well-prepared horse. And Ron Ellis, what off the claim? He's like 29% or something like that. So that's a threat. I'm going to box that exactly.
Yeah, Ron Ellis is a very small barn now, but he does exceptionally well placing his horses. I feel like.
And the difference between having to ship and not having to ship and
Huge.
training over the home course is an advantage. So that's definitely one to look out for.
Okay, so Otis Betts and Hungover in an exacta there for Aggie. Race number 3, a mile on the turf course. We have maiden special weights this time around. And we have, I would imagine in here, a pretty short favorite of Post Game. Did you feel Post Game was a vulnerable favorite or good chalk, as Bob Baffert says?
He's nice and I respect him. I just thought, when Michael McCarthy sends out Let's Be Frank, and this is a horse coming out of Michael Maker's barn who had enough confidence in the horse to run him in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. That's not, Michael Maker has enough horses to run in the Breeders' Cup. He doesn't have to go searching down through his maidens to find one. So the fact that he thought enough of this horse to put him in that race in a Grade 1 as a maiden, I think that gives me enough confidence. He comes back and gets first-time Lasix, and he was just so highly regarded. He comes out for his three-year-old debut today for a top barn with some nice works. I'm going with 5. Let's be frank.
I love your perspective there is so, it's different from, sort of the hardcore handicapping figures. And I think that's a very smart angle with Let's Be Frank, who is 2-1 on the morning line. The number 6, Call Me Corrie, I thought was rather interesting. He ran 3rd to Helicity, which is in our barn the first time he ran, and that turned out to be a pretty hot race. So I thought Call Me Corrie might be a horse in there as well that you could look at. But I do love that perspective that Aggie had on the Michael McCarthy horse, and that is the number 5, Let's Be Frank, taking those blinkers off. Moving on to race number 4, we did have a scratch of Gentleman's Rancher in there, and also a key scratch. Smoothin' Saturday is out of that race. It didn't seem to affect your selection, so who did you go with?
I went out on with my biggest long shot of the day here.
Oh, okay.
I've got a Steve Knapp Exacta who just won the California Trainer of the Year for the CTBA. Congrats to him. He sends out the 3 Bandolero, and while this horse just is coming out of a maiden 20, he did win by 11. And the reason I'm taking note of it, horses, he changed barns. He changed multiple things that day. He changed barns, not to say one trainer's better or another trainer's better, but when they change barns, they change feeding, they change their groom, they change their rider. There's so many different, and every horse can't fit in every spot. So he responded in Steve Knapp's barn last time out to win by 11. He also had Lasix for the first time and moved forward with that. He gets Lasix again today at 30-1. I'm going to have to take a little try. He's by Stay Thirsty, which doesn't hurt my feelings.
So Bandolero, 30-1 on the morning line. Ricky Gonzalez in the saddle, and he was aboard when Bandolero ran off the page last time out. So very interesting in race number 4 there. And again, that scratch of the number 1, Gentleman Rancher, and the 7, Smoothin' Saturday. Moving on to race number 5. Now, 5.5 furlong maiden special weight on the main track here. And this for the ladies, the fillies, 3-year-old fillies. It's nice that they can still continue to run against their own age group at this point. We did have a scratch of the number 7, Sounds Lucky, in there for trainer Bob Baffert, who also has Weekend Princess entered up in there. Very nice filly. Where did you land with these interesting maiden special weight fillies?
It is. It's an interesting group of fillies. I don't normally pick first-time starters, but I do like Mark Glatt on the outside. A hot barn with some outstanding works. Gets the Lasix. It doesn't look like they're playing around today. This filly looks well meant here. On
the outside post position too. And we have some of those works on First TV. So feel free to go back, especially that gate work. She looks very quick from the gate. Weekend Princess, I thought, was very interesting in there for Bob Baffert. Very nice filly. In fact, if we have time, I'd love to show just a little bit of the work that we had for Weekend Princess. And this is coming out of the gate. So Weekend Princess is going to be on the outside here. And Sounds Lucky was the horse that scratched out of this race. So they were working together. And actually, Weekend Princess, I thought, outworked Sounds Lucky. But you can see that she's got a pretty big stride to her. And the rider is sitting up pretty high on her at this stage. It looks like it is Florent Giroux. He usually has the striped helmet, if I can see that correctly. And Eric, who's just come back from an injury. It's great to see him back in the saddle. He's a main exercise rider for Bob Baffert. But these two are coming around. And Aggie, maybe from your perspective, these horses aren't in your barn. If you're just, you're a trainer and you're watching this work as if they were your horses, what would be your takeaway in here?
Oh, I'm digging the horse on the outside. He's got a nice long hold and he's got a nice long stride, and I should say, but very comfortable and in hand and doing this with enthusiasm. Definitely on the inside would be my pick.
Yeah. So hot maiden race. I imagine that this will turn out to be productive.
Second choice. So my backup. So I think that's a nice exacta.
Excellent. Confidentiality for Mark Glatt over the Bob Baffert Weekend Princess in that 5th race. 6th race is at 6 furlongs. It's on the turf course. It'll be the flat turf course this time around. And I don't know. I thought this was quite a wide open race. We did have some scratches in here. Again, just to pass along, Central Dispatch, the 8 is out. The 10, So I'm Told, is out. The 11, Player B, and the 12, Chasing Money. All of those 4 horses out in here. How did you see this upcoming 6th race?
I thought this was the toughest race on the card to handicap, and I think it's a wide open race. When that happens, I try and go with a bit of a flyer, and I did that with the 6 at 12-1. Hector Palma's horse, Commander.
I love this. Well,
going out on a little bit of a limb, but when I look at older open horses, I feel like any horse can win 3 races. And so those horses that have only won 3 races and they're taking on these older horses that are well seasoned, I give a little bit of respect. And Commander has 6 wins, 9 seconds, 6 thirds. He's always a piece of it. Last time out on that day, February 21st, they're calling it a good turf course. I ran on the turf course that day. I felt it was pretty boggy. I thought it was a different turf course than most of these Southern California horses are used to running on. We're so spoiled and we get the perfect turf course all the time with the great weather. So I'm going to forgive him for that little bit of a dull effort last time out. He's 9 years old. I think he might maybe protect himself a little bit from the off going. If he runs his best race, he certainly has races to go back to that would win this. And I'll take a shot with the old man.
I love that. Commander, 12-1. And Victor Espinosa, who's actually a rider that you've used, haven't you? And was it Dark Omen?
It was Dark Omen that Victor rode and that created the new rule for the Ordonez barn. Only Hall of Fame trainers, please. Only Hall of Fame jockeys, please. So we've just got one left in the room for me to ride. I think Mike Smith, I've got to put him on something and then we'll call it a trifecta.
Right. Dark Omen, who just came out. I mean, it was pretty hyped going into his debut. And won pretty convincingly.
He's a sweetheart of a horse, and he was misbehaving a little bit in the paddock. We have worked so hard on getting him to calm down, and once Victor got on him, it's just a sign of a true horseman. He settled in and calmed down, and he felt the confidence of his rider, and he threw some sassy fractions at him and kept going. So I was thrilled with his big effort and look forward to running him at Del Mar.
Okay, so we'll be back and ready for Del Mar.
Yes.
Excellent. Look forward to that. Yeah. As we continue with our handicapping in here, and then I wanted to just touch on, a few more personal questions in here because I find it so interesting your journey to, ending up here at Santa Anita. Race number 7, 5.5 furlongs, allowance optional claimer in here. These are Calbreds in for the 20,000 if they're in for a price tag. And I rather like Jaguar John, who drew the rail in there. Special Club could be interesting. Tiger in My Tank, another one of those races, just like the 6th we talked about, that's pretty wide open, would you think?
Some nice quality horses in this race. I went out with Uncle Chili in this one. Jeff Mullins claimed him two back, and he came out of that with a winning effort last time out. He looks like he'll get the stalking trip, and he just showed gameness last time out. It feels like he's thriving right now. Uncle Chili by the Smiling Tiger. I'm a fan of them as well.
The known idea in there gets Del Cid aboard. Have you followed him much at all, new rider?
No, tell me.
Well, he's just high. I mean, I've seen him. He's had a win now at Santa Anita, but he is probably the lightest statesman jockey I have ever seen. He looks tiny on a horse.
I wonder what he can do.
Very
How
light.
light can he do it?
I don't know. I'd have to ask. I think Ryan Glatt is his agent,
Yeah,
but that's
we'll
a good
have to ask him.
question. Yeah, have to find out. The 8th race and the nightcap on today's card is 6 furlongs. Maiden Claim is in here. Again, we're back to the Calbred fillies in here. Steve Knapp looks like he's got a pretty strong hand. We did have a scratch of the number 4, By the Moonlight. So Richard Boltus's horse, By the Moonlight, number 4, did scratch out of the nightcap. Your thoughts on this last race?
I went to the outside again with the 9 in Bitter Truth for the Craig Lewis barn. He adds blinkers. He's drawn outside. I felt like he was running best late last time and maybe can turn the tables on the other 2 in here.
Aggie, do you, when you're not racing a horse yourself, do you watch all the races and, watch trips and how involved do you get with other people's horses?
It varies. There's sometimes when I'm wrapped up in my barn and I don't even pop my head up and not seen up on the front side. But if I have clients in the barn that are looking to claim, and there's money in the accounts, then it's really time to pay attention to what's going on with other people's horses and try and pick something of value up watching the races.
Speaking of clients, I mean, how did you end up training for breeder and owner Jerry Baker and Connie Baker?
I was up north at Golden Gate Fields. I always took horses for Carla Gaines that weren't working out here. And so she sent me a horse, Sugar Kisses. That was the first horse I received for Carla from Connie and Jerry, who we did okay with. She ran well. She was more suited for the Northern California competition. And we just struck it off. We developed a friendship. We wound up chatting and texting and talking. And when I came down to Del Mar, I had a couple of horses at that point with Connie and Jerry, and they pulled me aside and we said, we have a wonderful 2-year-old, a couple of nice 2-year-olds that are coming into Santa Anita. That's the problem, though. We don't want to send them to Golden Gate, but we love you and would like you to be our trainer. And I thought about it for about 1.5 seconds and said, you know what, I am going to Santa Anita. And that I made that decision sitting on the bench after a race at Del Mar and proceeded to call the racing office at Santa Anita and apply for stalls, and away we went.
That's incredible. And you, your saddle towel that you have, obviously AO.
Yes.
But just tell us a little bit about the design.
Everyone thinks the arrow through the O is the female representation or the male sex symbol, and I don't know, maybe it was subconscious, but it's in my mind when I designed that. I was thinking move them up with Aggie, and I thought of an arrow moving up, and that's what it was. But since I've gotten so much attention and comments, I keep people guessing. But now the secret's out.
I thought it was maybe Cupid's,
Oh,
Cupid's love arrow.
That's true. I love that angle. I'm going to use that. Can I steal that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you've talked about how, it's tougher being a woman, to be respected and to not only be a caretaker, as you like to call it, but also you've got to be a businesswoman, right? And you've got to manage your staff, and you have to, manage your profit margins and things like that. So, I mean, how involved do you get with the other side of
all of
training?
it? I mean, I've been a small barn for most of my life, so I am, that commercial where they say it's all right. It was all right there because I had a small barn. But since I've started to grow and branch out and multiple horses with multiple, I did hire a bookkeeper, and she keeps me lined out that way. So that's a big help. And of course, I've got a great crew, and they get me through every day with just having a strong team support from things around the barn and remembering the protocol. But I'm confident in what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that from my dad. And I think back
Mhm.
about the lessons that I learned from him. And
Mhm.
and he used to say to me, just stand strong. And I've got that posted in my office. And I remember his words. He said, you've got everything you need, and just stand strong,
Right.
and good things will happen.
Right. And your mother, was she involved in horse racing at all?
My mom, she really didn't give a darn about horses. She says, I'm a Pete Anderson fan, not a horse racing fan.
Aw.
It was the greatest love story I've ever witnessed. They were married
Aw.
for over 55 years, and recently passed, my mom and my dad, 10 years before her. But when I was going through the house, I found some love letters that he had scribbled to her on a Pan American cocktail napkin on a flight that she had saved. I mean, just one of the most beautiful love stories I've ever witnessed was watching my mom and dad grow up.
That's amazing. That's wonderful. Now, going back to your two big stars in the barn, I'll ask you a question that is my pet peeve of any reporter asking a trainer a question, and that is, what's next?
So the Santa Maria coming up for Almond Joy, I think, is on the 19th. I should have scribbled that down, knowing that question was coming up, and that she has a nice schedule mapped out. I'd love to hit the Clement Hirsch at Del Mar, and that's a win and you're in, and that would mean everything, which tells you a hint of, if things go well and she continues to progress and develop and be all she can be, what I think she's good enough is to make a return trip to Keeneland and show up in the Breeders' Cup. I mean, that would be the end goal.
And vodka?
Vodka. I think he loved the 1.25 mile distance. Just watching that back again,
right?
To me, he was still running that last 8. I mean, that just looked great and came out of it great. So the goal would be the Hollywood Gold Cup, which is just iconic, prestigious race at Santa Anita that never dreamt I'd be a part of. But I'd love to send him out in that. I'll need a race before then. Perhaps an allowance race in the middle of next month. They've talked about there'll probably be an extra for those horses prepping for the Hollywood Gold Cup. I did nominate him for the stake at the end of this month, going 7/8 on the dirt, just to keep options open.
Okay.
And it seems quick.
Yes.
And I'm not sure about turning him back, but he's very handy, and that we're still in discussion about what quite to do for his next move, but hoping to land on the Hollywood Gold Cup.
Are their personalities quite similar? Being obviously, siblings.
No,
not at all. No, oh, really?
No, not at all.
Really?
Vodka's all man. He's a tough guy. He wants to be the boss. Him and Kent have those discussions in the morning about who's boss here. And I think Kent finally kind of relinquished that. He's got to kind of do it his way, because that's when he will give you his heart. Is when you let him bolster him up, and so he just supports him and say, "You are the tough
You're
guy.
The man.
You are the man."
Yeah, you're the man.
Yeah, and that works for him. Almond Joy, and I think you could see this in the Beholder down the backstretch. She's a ditz. She's a little bit of an airhead, and she kind of checks out. If you watch the head on, you can see Kent nudging her down the backstretch, kind of knuckling her to like, "Mama, we're in a race now. You want to keep up there." And not that she wasn't responding, but she just kind of floats around there. I don't know if she's looking at the clouds, the birds. She's such a sweetie, and that's what made Kent kind of leave her alone for a second, make her take a deep breath, gave me concern, gave me half a heart attack that something was wrong. But no, he regrouped and she finished with a flurry. So that's her. She's spotty, but she gets it done.
Well, we certainly will be looking forward to seeing them come back and continue to race. Aggie, thank you so much. It was very enjoyable talking to you and learning about your background, and wishing you the very, very best of luck with these horses.
My pleasure,
and the continued meet. Before we go, just want to promote that we have the Sunset 6 And we also have the Coast to Coast Pick 5 going on today. So just a reminder about those wagers. So from myself, standing in again for Tom Quigley and for Aggie Ordonez, we wish you the very best of luck with your selections, and make a note of Aggie's selections, because 30-1 and 12-1 just picks all through the day. So we'll look forward to seeing how those turn out. Thank you so much, Aggie.
My pleasure, Millie.
All right. We'll check back when it's post time.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, the great race place. Track conditions are brought to you by John Deere. The track is fast, the turf is firm, the rail on the turf is out 30 feet. Here are the changes. In the first, start of the $3 all-turf pick 3. On races 1, 3, and 6 in the early pick 5, there are no changes. Race 2 kicks off the early pick 4. There are no changes. And the third starts the $2 pick 6. Just blinker notes. Race 4, start of the late pick 5. Scratch 1, Gentleman Rancher, and 7, Smoothin' Saturday. 1 and 7 are out. Race 5 starts the late pick 4. Scratch 4, Poor Val. Scratch 7, Sounds Lucky. In the 6th, it kicks off the late pick 3. Number 5, Galan de Besos, 2 pounds over. 7, Hacking It Up, the jockey Antonio Fresu. Scratch 8, Central Dispatch. 10, So I'm Told. 11, Player B. And 12, Chasing Money. Scratch numbers 8, 10, 11, and 12. Out of the 6th race, the 9 will run. In the 7, start of the $5 late double, scratch number 4, Minister Shane. And in the 8, start of the super high 5, scratch number 4, By the Moonlight. Enjoy your day at the Great Race Place. Post time on the board in 25 minutes.
Welcome one and all to a fun day Friday at the Great Race Place. I'm Zoe Cadman, joined, I'm looking at the wrong camera, by the inevitable Michelle Yu. Now, what you didn't know was not only is Michelle a great handicapper, she's also a great broodmare. She's got 2 name foals today, both of them winners in a weight for age division last week. So, I mean, what does it feel like to be a winning producing broodmare, Michelle?
Oh, it feels amazing. I'm the broodmare that, didn't get any black type and couldn't do anything herself. I was raised a maiden mare, if you will.
I doubt you're a maiden mare, my dear. I'm sorry.
Well, a maiden mare in that I didn't win anything.
Oh, okay.
We're not talking about like breeding season or anything.
Okay.
We're going from the.
It's already going downhill. Where's this
Let
going?
me and Zoe on air together. Good. I was a maiden mare. My offspring are very good, and from a breeding standpoint, also, I did have my 3rd full for Team Hansen Racing plus our partners.
The 4-legged
today.
kind.
The 4-legged kind. It definitely didn't have anything today. My last 4-legged foal of the year. So my breeding season is done for my horses.
Who did you breed for? Because you like to breed cowbirds.
Yeah, we did. So this year we ended up with 3 Brickyard rides first year. Sire,
Fantastic.
Right? One of them was supposed to go somewhere else and end up getting bred there. So we have 3 clubhouse ride fillies. One's bay, one's chestnut, and one is chestnut with all kinds of white all over her.
So you can separate them.
Because,
Perfect.
yes, we know them all differently. And then the mares are going back to Collected, Sir Prancelot, and Forte.
Love that. All right. Well, the first race is not about the Cowbreds, but it is a maiden special weight. In fact, this does kick off the early pick 5. 4 of the first 5 races are for maidens. So you better fire up your first bet accounts and figure out which maiden is going to win. Let's get to this race. I'm going to don my glasses here. It's a maiden special weight for the fillies, going 6 furlongs for 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. Michelle, you've got a 7-to-1 shot on top here in Kinsley's Charisma.
Yeah, I think that she's really interesting in this spot. Can I also show you a work? Is
Yes,
that
you
okay?
can.
I
Yep.
want to show a work before we talk about Kinsley's Charisma, so we don't run out of time on the 6. Ooh la la, because we want people to get underway, right, with their maidens, and this is going to be a first-time starter. This horse is going to be breaking in the white cap, so down along the inside, and you see broke best, but I feel like she's a little green, and not necessarily green doing anything wrong, but when she breaks this far in front, all of a sudden she's by herself, so she sticks her ears up at the turn. She starts to slow herself down because she has no competition, and
She's huge.
yeah, she is, right? Watch when she comes around the turn and she throws her head up in the air and sticks her ears forward like she's all finished. She's like, oh, this is done. I'm finished with what I'm supposed to do today. And then the other horse comes to her. She does have to get ridden along. And I think some people might take that as a negative, but I took it as greenness. Not that she was tired, just that no one ever gave her a challenge really. And so she didn't think she had to keep on going. I thought overall, once she got asked again, she responded again, and she's going to finish up really well. So there's like the extended, hey, come on, let's keep going down to the wire, right? Which normally I would say, ooh, I don't love that. But in this instance, I thought it was good, showed excellent response, and I think she should be pretty salty on debut here.
She comes from a turfy family. She's by a champion sprinter
I love him.
in Blue Point. The second dam is Busy Caroline. She herself a half sister to Lady Eli. So lots of turf there. She is a big girl. She was a big girl even as a yearling, because I remember looking at her at the Keeneland sale. She's weighing in at 1,141 pounds. She's not your top pick though, Michelle. Where are you going?
Yeah, because the rail. Kinsley's Charisma for Daniel Jensen. I think she's certainly going to be a little dismissed because she comes from low percentage connections. But this filly ran second on debut, and then she ran third behind Counterbalance, who came back to win the stake for Michael McCarthy and the Ammermans off of the bench. Last time out, she did try a rat of ground. I thought she did look a little flat. She kind of maintained her same positioning and then got a little tired at the end. But to me, that means she should be really great on the turn back and distance here. She's never run a bad race, and she's coming out of races where there are good horses winning, and also horses runner-up, third-place finishers are coming back to run good races as well.
All right, well, you have the 6 underneath. You haven't used the 4, Prestige Function. I think she's been in a tough spot of late. That was a big effort off the bench. She got tired going a mile. She cuts back. She's a filly who used to be a runoff, and she's really relaxed. You can go back and look at her works on First TV. I believe she's going to run a big race. Am I completely off base here at 14-1?
No, I mean, she was trending in the wrong direction for me, and I didn't have any excuse for her except that, she was stretching aging out and getting a little bit older. So maybe she lost some of that precocity. If you say she just had some issues and she's better, then I could see her certainly running a good race here.
Do we rethink at 7-2? And what about the favorite, Fancy Lady?
Fancy Lady ran a banger first time out, finishing second
Huge.
behind Surfing USA, who had multiple outs under her belt. Look, she's bred to be a really nice horse on any surface. McCarthy is firing at all cylinders. You get JJ teaming together. So lots to like about her with a little turn back in distance.
Rethink quickly before we let you go.
Nope.
No?
Rethink.
No
Literally the force.
Literally.
I thought you meant, do I want to rethink not using the four? Seriously. Rethink third last time out. I thought that was a good effort for her California debut. She looks like she's been working super well. She also gets a turn back in distance. You know, that last race was good, but it was a huge improvement from anything that we'd seen from her previously. So she's going to have to back that up and not go into a bounce scenario here.
Horses coming out, the first of 4 maidens in the pick 5, coming to you in just 8 minutes. Good luck, everybody.
Horses are on the track for the first. Jay Cohen just brought them out. It's the start of the early pick 5. And note, the all-turf pick 3 starts early today. It starts right here with the opener, which is 7 minutes away.
Welcome back to Santa Anita as the horses are on the track warming up for race number 1. I had a nice chat with Daniel Jensen, who trains the number 1 Kinsley's Charisma with his wife, Julia Jensen, the owner. And it was rather interesting. I asked him how they acquired this filly. And he told me the story that he was at home bidding online and he had no idea that his cousin was actually at the sales bidding on the same horse. So needless to say, they decided to stop the bidding and they took her home for $4,000. Now, Tyler Bays has been out to work her every single time. And when she worked 47-1, that was behind Explorer. She broke off about 20 lengths behind Explorer, and she actually made up 10 lengths on Explorer, the Bob Baffert filly, who's extremely good. So they were very, very happy with that workout and the way this filly is progressing. She weighs in around 1,180 odd pounds. And you can see the size of her. She's all engine on the back end. Very professional. Apparently, she didn't turn her hair as she was getting saddled down there. And when I asked the racing tactics today with the cut back in trip, the Daniel Jensen said to me, "Oh, we're absolutely going to go with her because we're inside. We don't want to make sure that nobody else comes up to the outside of us. So we will try and get the lead." And that is Kinsley's Charisma coming up for race number 1 in 6 minutes. She's currently 6-1.
Horses are at the starting gate. It's post time. They're moving in for the first. Rethink coming up. Ooh la la. And they're off. Ooh la la. Broke outward, but did break very quickly. Kinsley's Charisma is coming through along the inside to vie for the lead. And Rethink is up and on the pace too, taking second. They're followed by Fancy Lady third. Then comes Ooh La La fourth at the rail. Prestige Fung Sun and slow starting Song and Dance is far back through the opening quarter mile, where Kinsley's Charisma has taken control and leads it by 2, but Rethink is on the move in second. A length back, Prestige Fung Sung, followed by Fancy Lady in the blue, fourth with 3.5 to come. 2 clear of Ooh La La and another 5 to Song and Dance. Rounding the far turn, Kinsley's Charisma, Rethink closing in nicely and within a neck of the front runner. Prestige Fung Sun third, Fancy Lady is in fourth as Rethink is up to take the lead at the top of the stretch. Moves powerfully by Kinsley's Charisma second, followed by Prestige Fung Sun. It is Rethink, ultra impressive through the stretch, cruising, dominating, and long gone. Good battle for second as Rethink jogs. Wins by 5, and it could have been much more. Ooh La La completes the exacta. Prestige Fung Sun and Kinsley's Charisma. Number 2, Rethink was first. 6, Ooh La La finished second. 4, Prestige Fung Sun third. 1, Kinsley's Charisma fourth. In the winner's circle, Rethink, a 4-year-old chestnut filly by Vacoma out of A Change of Heart, owned by James Downey, trained by Phil D'Amato, ridden to victory by Antonio Fresu. Rethink was bred in Kentucky by Dash Goff, running time 109.01 seconds. Race 2 kicks off the early pick 4 in 27 minutes. And they're off. Ooh la la. Broke outward, but did break very quickly. Kinsley's Charisma is coming through along the inside to vie for the lead. And Rethink is up and on the pace too, taking second. They're followed by Fancy Lady third. Then comes Ooh La La fourth at the rail. Prestige Fung Sun and slow starting Song and Dance is far back through the opening quarter mile, where Kinsley's Charisma has taken control and leads it by 2, but Rethink is on the move in second. A length back, Prestige Fung Sung, followed by Fancy Lady in the blue, fourth with 3.5 to come. 2 clear of Ooh La La and another 5 to Song and Dance. Rounding the far turn, Kinsley's Charisma, Rethink closing in nicely and within a neck of the front runner. Prestige Fung Sun third, Fancy Lady is in fourth as Rethink is up to take the lead at the top of the stretch. Moves powerfully by Kinsley's Charisma second, followed by Prestige Fung Sun. It is Rethink, ultra impressive through the stretch, cruising, dominating, and long gone. Good battle for second as Rethink jogs. Wins by 5, and it could have been much more. Ooh La La completes the exacta. Prestige Fung Sun and Kinsley's Charisma. We have a late scratch just in this race. Number 3, my man, Joe Roldan, is scratched. This just came in seconds ago. Scratch number 3, my man, Joe Roldan.